Hi, good afternoon, everybody. I am Oli Venn, the Sales Engineering Manager for WatchGuard. I'm covering the Northern Europe region, but based here in the UK. Interesting background with myself. I've actually been with WatchGuard now for around 6 years. Prior to that, I was an end user, so I worked for the UK's largest car and yacht dealership group and lived and breathed WatchGuard firewalls and installed them 12, 13 years ago. And I love WatchGuard so much that I ended up coming to work for them 6 years ago. Started off as a sales engineer, and then just almost a year ago, took on the role of the SE manager for the Northern Europe region. So today I'm going to be talking around sort of WatchGuard and cybersecurity for mid-sized businesses, which is generally our sort of key target, really. The SMB, the SME, it's a perfect size, and majority of businesses in the UK are around that. So to get you started, I appreciate it's the afternoon slot. It's what, like 3:10. We're all a little bit tired, lagging from lunch. So we're going to do a pop quiz. So through a show of hands, I would like to know how many pieces of malware do you think are detected on a daily basis? So starting at 110,000. Show of hands, anybody think it's 110,000? This is created every single day. Okay, no takers for 110. 230. Okay, I have one player for 230. Okay, 350. Oh, a couple more brave hands. What about 560,000? The rest of the audience, good. Okay, it's a test. Make sure you're all awake. People, I think everybody put their hands up. The answer is 560,000 strains of new malware are created every single day, which is a shocking amount. Google actively takes down around 50 websites every single week, just based on sort of poor content on them. But a lot of the time, the malware is not even hosted on websites that they can take down. It's legitimate sites like SharePoint and Dropbox. So these are only the ones that they're aware of. And 88% of UK businesses have suffered some kind of breach in the last 12 months. These are all stats from the UK government and the likes of Hiscox Insurance, who have done audits on these types of activities. And they actually piled together some key stats, which I'm going to go through now and talk around. So roughly one business in the UK is successfully hacked every 19 seconds. That's 65,000 attempts are made for small to mid-sized businesses every day. And around 4,500 of those are actually successful, which is sort of staggering amounts if you're sort of thinking about just the UK alone. And you think about this sort of on a global scale, it just gets very, very scary. 48% of UK organizations have been hit by some form of ransomware in the last year. Allegedly, 13% of those that were actually hit and targeted paid that ransom fee as well. The average cost to remediate from a ransomware attack is estimated to be in the region of $840,000. Because not only is it just paying off that threat actor to unlock your data, it's all the remedial work that has to take place afterwards, the forensics, the rebuilding of systems, even just the data being down and not accessible for a period of time. The average cost is a staggering amount, and most people don't even consider that. And generally 50% of attacks in the UK start with a phishing attempt. So this is an email that's come through, hey, click this link, whatever it might be, which is actually 20% higher than the global average too. Going back to the $840,000 figure, I forgot to mention, a lot of UK insurance companies don't cover ransomware, or they're very sneaky in the terms and conditions. So when people do suffer with ransomware, they're not even getting insurance companies payout as well. One of the big things we see is the lack of cyber expertise in the UK. This isn't really a UK-specific problem. It does happen across the whole of the world. A lot of organizations have gone with this mindset of like, I must have somebody that does everything. But the reality is of it, we don't have enough resources. There is not enough cybersecurity experts out there to be able to afford for every business to have their own expert in-house. So this is where cybersecurity businesses can really step up and help those customers. It's estimated that there's around 1,200 UK businesses that specialize in sort of providing cybersecurity services. This was published by the UK government in November last year, so it's probably increased quite a bit since then. Out of all of those businesses, it's estimated around 43,000 people are employed across those sort of MSPs, generating £8.3 billion in revenue. And that's a 35% increase over the last 2 years as well. Remember, that was based on November last year, so it's probably gone up even more since then too. So now I'm going to talk a little bit about WatchGuard, because not everybody is going to be familiar with WatchGuard and aware of what we do. So we've been around since 1996. We are known as a security vendor. We started off with red firewalls, which everybody knows and loves us for. But over the years, we've added to the stack as well, which I'll cover off. Roughly one firewall is deployed every 4 minutes, saved hours and hours of time because of our ease of use and management systems that are designed to help those. We have direct presence across the world. 21 countries we have direct presence in, so that's people like myself and sales team, which we definitely have in the UK to assist you. And who do we serve? Well, we can pretty much cover everybody, right? WatchGuard's ethos is always been about smart security, or enterprise-grade security delivered to the masses. And what we mean by that is everybody should have access to the same level of security, whether that's a small one-man band all the way up to enterprise players. The attacks are the same. They're not different types of attacks. A cyber actor is probably more likely to go after a small business than they are a larger business, because often they have weaker cybersecurity, and they're more likely to get a payout because it's easier. So everybody should have the same levels of security, and that's what we do at WatchGuard. We do cover a lot of verticals, so as I mentioned, sort of SMBs, SME, distributed enterprises. That's the sort of background that I came from with 37 sites that I looked after across the UK and Europe. Retail, hospitality, government, and education as well. So pretty much every sector, every vertical that you can think of, we should be able to have some solution that will help out. So I apologize for this slide. It's very white. It wasn't originally. I don't know what happened to my deck. Ask Northamber. But we have a platform that is sitting behind all of this. So it's built for the MSP in mind, so it makes your lives easier. It makes it easier to manage, deploy, and maintain the whole infrastructure of WatchGuard products. So like I said, we started with the firewalls, but we've also got other features in the stack too, which I will cover off now. So we've also got things like Wi-Fi, remote APs, or APs that can sit in the offices serving the Wi-Fi to the offices. We have endpoint security. We made an acquisition 2020, March time. Nothing seemed to be going on in the world, so we thought it was a brilliant time to buy a company. And this gives us the end-to-end. So we see the firewall, but we now also have the endpoint as well. So we have like this end-to-end of the visibility. And we can now combine that with something called XDR as well, which is extended detection and response. This gives us the ability to see what an endpoint is doing and correlating with the firewall. So if a firewall blocks some traffic, we can actually tell the endpoint, hey, go and remediate whatever that was that caused that. It shouldn't be doing it. So it gives us this power, as well as things like patching and sort of being able to make sure that that system is updated regardless of where they are in the world, especially as we're seeing like a lot of remote workers since 2022. We have identity with our user protection. So this is like MFA. We can secure users' access. Logging into any kind of resources, whether that's VPN, whether it's Office 365, whether it's even logging into their laptop, we can secure that with multi-factor authentication. Again, don't just rely on simple technology of like username and password. Let's add an additional layer of security. And things like remote access as well. What I don't have on this slide, unfortunately, and it was kind of in the last one, but it doesn't matter, is we've also recently launched network detection and response as well. So this gives us the ability to see the full visibility of the network as to what's happening. So we can see, often when a hacker like lands on a device, they will then try and laterally move. So we can now pull in data from switches and see, hey, is there port scans going on? Is there unusual activity? So we're using AI in the technology as well to add an enhanced level of security. And by having all of these from one vendor and having it with WatchGuard, because it's all in one platform, we can share that intelligence as well. So this gives us a better level of understanding of what's actually happening in the network. It gives you more control, more visibility, and more power, and able to respond to incidents and threats. That's another slide that's not formatted very well. This slide should say that the demand for MSS is increasing, right? It's going up sort of 44%. This is businesses starting to realize that they can't do it all now, that there is a requirement to get sort of service providers out there, partners, to actually help them with their infrastructure. So this is a great opportunity for you to sort of step into this and make sure that you're offering security services to those customers and being able to sell to them. One of the big opportunities that's pretty much every business is taking a look at is managed detection and response. So having that data is great, being able to see like what's happening on the endpoint and what's happening on the firewall, but sometimes it can be a bit overwhelming, and it's like, where do I even begin? Well, having a managed detection and response service basically looks at that data and will spot anomalies. It's again using sort of AI and machine learning. It helps us sort of bring together all of that data and make it meaningful. There's no point having data that's showing you're having like 100 alerts on one thing and not knowing, hey, is that real, is that bad? Can I correlate it to anything else? It gets a bit much. So this is where managed detection and response comes in. It's actually having somebody that's looking at that 24/7 to understand what that data means and what it's really showing you. It adds another layer of a USP, so unique selling point for those sort of cybersecurity services. If you can say, hey, look, we can monitor this, not just sell you a solution that's going to protect you, but we can monitor this as well to sort of spot out of the norm, it can sort of overcome those. It addresses like the lack of expertise in the industry, so we don't need to rely on the customers, the end users having the expertise to monitor this, and also they don't then have to pay for their own staff to go for education and have that sort of training and sort of upskilling to be able to look at or understand what they're looking at. And that's where WatchGuard can really come in. We offer a managed detection and response service. So you can actually overlay this as your own. WatchGuard are monitoring this, bums on seats, eyes on screen, 24/7, keeping an eye on the data, the telemetry that's actually coming in, and they can make use of this and understand what's happening. We have a team of threat hunters that are constantly scouring the data. They also have some really powerful AI tools that helps them sort of collate and make sense of what they're seeing. So if activity is happening at 3 o'clock in the morning, they have the intelligence to know whether that's legitimate or not. And if they're not sure, they can pick up the phone to you. They can pick up the phone to you and say, hey, are you doing something in that network? The chances are 3 o'clock in the morning, it's probably not you. So therefore, they can isolate and actually prevent any kind of attack happening in that environment. Now, this is a really key differentiator. More and more businesses are asking for this type of service, and because we're doing it, it means that anybody can step into the world of cybersecurity, offer the services, and they don't even have to be upskilled themselves. We can offer this as a security service for you, and so you don't even need the tech resources in-house to be able to offer that additional layer of security. Now, I realize I had a half-an-hour presentation, and I've got through this in like 15 minutes. So any questions? Is it available on MSSP points? Yes, it is. I'm going to do my tree fail. It is available on MSSP points. Yes, they are nodding at me. Anybody else? No? Great. Well, I shall see you all in the public. I mean, thank you very much for attending. And yeah, I hope you've had a great day. If you'd like to chat, we are downstairs. As you go through the doors, turn right and just head to the right, and we are down there and available to chat to you. Thank you all.